And when they pass these type of laws and they vilify law-abiding citizens, right, it just hurts us as a community. And then when you see people that advocate for this, right, so hardcore leftists that, you know, will yell and scream about, oh, we should ban guns and ammo, they don't realize that if we really want to do harm, theoretically, if we want to do harm, we could.
Yeah.
In a grand scale, right? But we don't, because we're law-abiding citizens. We're morally sound, right, of good character. That's what we are. That's why we have CCWs, right? That's why we carry a concealed weapons permit.
Explain what a CCW is and what it takes to get that in normal states like Nevada.
So in Nevada, anyway, you have to take a 8-hour course. You have to pass a competency test by shooting, and then you have to take a written exam, and then you have to wait 120 days to get your license issued by the state.
Yeah, and the state, my understanding is the state also does federal background check, a couple other like layers of database checking to make sure you're not a crazy.
Yeah, so we have, I think, I could be wrong, but I think it's a 7 or 9 point system where we don't just check locally, we check nationally, we check, you know, where you've lived, because they make you put down where you lived.
Yeah.
So let's say you lived in California, right? Orange County, they'll check their records as well, make sure you don't have any outstanding whatever, right?
Yeah.
So in order to qualify for CCW, you can't even have a parking ticket.
And what does CCW stand for?
Concealed carry weapons, but it's concealed weapon permit, but we
Got
just
it.
call it CCW.
CCW.
Yeah.
Basically meaning that legally, you can carry a firearm concealed under your jacket, in your waistband, whatnot. Can you explain that to people that don't understand? Because there's one process for buying a gun, and then there's a CCW process, and then some states have adopted constitutional carry where you can do whatever you want. So can you kind of explain the progression of like, okay, I want to be a gun owner, you know, and this is state dependent, of course. Where does it go from like purchasing to CCW to like some states are just saying it's a free for all? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So when you buy a gun in any state, all right, in all 50 states, you must do a background check.
But wait, I just like could walk in and walk out with a machine gun.
No,
that's not the way it works.
No, it's not. So it's funny when people are like, "Oh yeah, we should have federal background checks." I'm like, "Yeah, those have been around for a minute."
Everybody who buys a gun in America, and we'll talk about the gun show loophole, but everybody who buys a gun from a manufacturer or a gun store has to do a federal background check every single time. I've done many federal background checks.
Yes.
And every single time I buy one, I have to pass a federal background check. So that's any gun, any place in America. We'll talk about the gun show loophole. We'll get back around to this. But anyway, and you can educate me on that. Okay, so you get your background check. Some states require you to take a little written test. Some states do not, and you can walk out with a firearm after you pass the background check. Then what's kind of next?
So, and then you can get your CCW or your concealed weapons permit. So what that allows you to do is that you can carry your weapon in public places concealed, which is a huge advantage because, you know, some people, when you carry concealed, you're not targeted for your firearm. Right. So,
because some guys I see do that cowboy carry. They got like a giant Desert Eagle handgun. It looks like something out of Dirty Harry on their hip. And I'm like, come on, bro. You're just making yourself a target and you just look silly.
It's an ego trip through and through. Like if you're not on official business or for law enforcement, you shouldn't be doing that. Yeah. But yes, so, you get a CCW and then you can conceal carry, which is great. It's a huge advantage, right? I conceal carry everywhere I go. It's just my own personal insurance. It's kind of like, if you bought a home, you wouldn't skimp out on homeowners insurance. Yeah. Right? It's the exact same thing. I carry a gun not because I'm out here being a vigilante or anything like that. I'm out here because if something were to happen, I'm literally the first and last line of defense for me and my loved ones.
Right. Yeah. Right. And you know what's funny is like I know a ton of people that have concealed carry, and usually what tips me off is I'll be out at like a cigar lounge with somebody and they'll be like, nah, I'm not drinking today. I'm like, are you carrying? They're like, yeah, how'd you know? I'm like, well, because all the people I know who drink, and then when they responsibly don't drink, it's usually because I have a firearm on them, because you cannot have a drink and carry your concealed carry.
Technically you can, if you can't, the rule is if you can't drive, you can't
carry. Right.
So
yeah, so you could technically have a beer or two in an hour and be okay.
Oh, yeah.
I know I never want that to come up.
Right.
Like, God forbid I have to use a firearm in an emergency situation. And I had a mimosa at breakfast.
Right.
It's like, oh God, now it all gets called into question. Like, I don't want to have anything to do with it. Okay, so then you have your weirdos that like to cowboy carry, and some states like Nevada allow that. You've got responsible citizens who conceal carry, and then can you explain what constitutional carry is for anybody who's heard this term in the news lately?
Of course, but before we do, I want to touch up on something. So you said, if you had a mimosa and then had to use your gun, everything calls into question, right? This is something I highly want to stress to people, is that no matter what the legal implications are, right? No matter what it is, that 2 seconds of your life, if you have to use your gun or not, is worth it. Because I tell people, I'm like, if you're dead, don't matter. Right. But if you can live and explain your story, go through the headache of, a lot of people, they go, oh, I don't carry my gun, like my sister. I don't carry my gun because, like, if I ever have to use it, it'd be such a nightmare. I'm like, okay, so you're telling me you'd rather be dead.
Right.
She's like, why are you so dramatic? I'm like,
because that's the only time you would present a firearm.
Correct. Yeah. You don't do it for fun. You do it because your life depends on it.
Right.
So anyway, I just want to touch upon that.
No, everybody I know that carries a gun in the anticipation that, like, please God, I never want to have to reveal that I have a firearm on me. I never want to have to draw it. I never want to have to, like, you never want to have to make a life or death decision in your entire life. I don't like making life or death decisions when I'm on the 405. Right. So yeah, everybody I know that responsibly conceals carry, their thought process is like, it's there. I know it's there. My loved ones know it's there. And just, God forbid the day I ever have to actually present a firearm in the situation to, like, prevent violence or stop violence from happening to me. I mean, it's a scary thought. And I think it's something that, like, people like you and I actually think through and train for.
Yeah. No, it's one of those misconceptions where, people will take it out of context, like, oh, you carry a gun because you're looking for trouble, right? And I'm not giving an excuse to the people that actually do that. There's people that are looking for trouble, right? They think they're above the law. But most of us, we carry responsibly.
Yeah.